Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Wednesday, September 16th. Today's first reading comes from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. This selection comes from the 12th and 13th chapters of this letter. It reads, Brothers and sisters, strive eagerly for the greatest spiritual gifts, but I shall show you a still more excellent way. If I speak in human angelic tongues but do not have love, I am a resounding gong or a clashing cymbal. And if I have the gift of prophecy and comprehend all mysteries and all knowledge, if I have all faith so as to move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give everything away I own, and if I hand my body over so that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It is not jealous. Love is not pompous. It is not inflated. It is not rude. It does not seek its own interest. It's not quick-tempered. It does not brood over injury. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. If there are prophecies, they will be brought to nothing. If tongues, they will cease. If knowledge, it will be brought to nothing. For we know partially and we prophesy partially. But when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I used to talk as a child, think as a child, reason as a child. When I became a man, I put aside childish things. At the present, we see indiscreetly, as in a mirror, but then face to face. At present I know partially, then I shall know fully as I am fully known. So faith, hope, love remain, these three. But the greatest of these is love. This reading is familiar to many of us because it's used quite often at weddings. Because the bride and groom truly are edified by these words of St. Paul. And they strive, as they begin their marriage, to really live up to these high standards of love that St. Paul puts out for the community in Corinth. And I think that, again, it is a perfect reading for a wedding. But I also think it's a perfect reading for any of us who are struggling to understand how we are to live day to day. Meaning that, yes, marriage needs to have this level of love as described by St. Paul. But I also think each of us are called to love in this way every day of our lives. And if we can do that, our lives would be radically different. And the particular part of the reading that I think can really challenge us in our day-to-day life is this idea that love never fails. Now, I know that many times love does seem to fail, that love does not meet its mark. But St. Paul is making the point that with God's grace, with the help of assistance from above, love never fails. Because what happens is if we love and do not count the cost, yes, in the eyes of the world it looks like that love failed, but God can apply that loving action to accomplish many other things through his providential care. It is just our duty to love every day, not count the cost, and make sure that we are always living for the other. And with that mentality, love never fails. Again, God takes our actions and uses them for something more important than just that present moment. And that also points to our faith. Yes, love is the greatest of the theological virtues. Faith, hope, and love, and as St. Paul says, the greatest of these is love. But to truly love, to love in the way that St. Paul's calling us to, it also requires a deep faith. Knowledge that God can use our loving actions in ways that are beyond our comprehension, beyond our knowledge, to accomplish His will for the world. And this level of love truly can be hard to reach. And it's even heroic to love without being loved in return. But brothers and sisters, that's why St. Paul also said that we have to grow into this. We have to mature in this. Meaning that as we continue to grow in our faith, grow in our lives, and become more mature, we don't have to have every aspect of our love returned. Because again, we know that through faith, God will provide for us and use whatever gifts we give in service to Him to help to build up His kingdom. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.